Alright, what's up, YouTube? Haven't brought a deck to you in a while. I'm preparing for regionals that I took yesterday. They went horrible. My deck box got stolen with my Kazi card in it. And half my side deck, 7 cards from my main deck. Replaced everything except Malefic Stardust Dragon and Banisher of the Radiance. But still, it was a bitch to get back the Skullmeisters and Chivalry, so I had to trade away stuff that I had almost siphoned away from people. Anyway, right now I switched up the Forbidden Countdown deck. I realized that even though it was good stalling, it kind of still made it around appropriate Exodia, so I just switched back to an Exodia deck that I had, except I made it, I cut down 5 cards, I finally made it 40, and hopefully this will work out a lot better, and maybe it could even be better this format than my GK deck. So anyway, here's the deck. It's an appropriate Exodia deck. Alright, first off, obviously for the Exodia deck you need Exodia, so 5 pieces of Exodia. Next, since this is an appropriate Exodia deck, Defender. Great defense for 1 at 2700. 2, if it's face-up defense position on your opponent's standby phase, they draw another card, aka you draw 2. So, 3 draws as long as they're in defense. Card Trooper. I'm not afraid to mill in this deck. Just mill, 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 mill. Use its effect, pump it up, attack if you want, and when it's destroyed, you draw a card. Just thin the deck out with this card so well. Kind of a Omen. I just decided to add this. I actually wanted to run 2 of these, and that'll explain why I have the next card in my deck, although I may just keep that all together, and I might drop one of my magic cards. Catavel Omen apparently is now a short print and goes for $3 online, so I was like, okay. I select 1 trap card in my deck and place it on top of my deck, and then Necro Valley's on the field, I can add it to my hand, and it's a flip effect. So whatever, you take your pick. It's just clicking up the getting appropriate out on the field, so 1 for now. Brow, Huntsman of the Dark World. I happen to remember this card, unlike most appropriate Exodia users, due to the fact that I actually wanted to make a Dark World deck for very long. And I had finally built it, but it's kind of in shambles right now, so I took some cards out of it. Brow, when he's discarded from my hand to the graveyard by a card effect, I draw 1 card from my deck. Also, if he's discarded by my opponent's card effect, I draw another card for it. So, he's just really good, especially if I run into a Dark World Dealings from my opponent. Anyway, I discard a lot in this deck. I included some Dark World Dealings to help with that. So, if it feeds to my hand, I can Dark World Dealings it, and Dark World Dealings then becomes a +1 instead of an eating. Kuraz, just added him. Can be draw power for me and my opponent. So, I can feed it with appropriate by destroying 1 card on their side of the field, also very helpful. And then I can destroy something on my side of the field. Maybe an extra appropriate if my deck is getting really thin, which happens a lot in my test runs. And then I can get 3 cards for their 1. But, so Kuraz has multiple purposes, this deck. 3 Exodius, I changed it back. I was going to run 2, but I'm like, you know what? I need to get back my stuff right away, and I need to fill up my deck because it thins too quickly sometimes. So, 3 Exodius. The only downside is when I start with all 3 of them in my hand, which then, obviously, I'm not afraid to go hand destruction, drop 2, and then special this one, grab the other 2 back. It's kind of a waste if I don't have anything else there, but kind of a necessity at the same time. So, 3 Exodius. If you don't know what it does, it returns all monster cards from my graveyard back to the deck. And then they shuffled, and then he's removed from play when he's removed from the field. So, he works and he gets around Necro Valley. Which brings me on to the spells. 2 Necro Valley. Why? I know it seems like a weird card to add into the deck of an appropriate Exodia, and you might say it wastes spots, but Necro Valley is a great card this format. People need to target. I don't. Exodia does the work for me. Grab my Exodia pieces, and it also stops DD Crow. So that's what I like. People side in DD Crow a lot, so then when they see this, no. Hit it, wait, makes them waste an MST on one of these instead of appropriate or one of my other back row cards, because they're concentrated on Necromount. And plus it helps Catavillo and get me appropriate right to the head. So 2 Necromount. Swords, obvious stall. Level limit area B, obvious stall. Also allows me to summon Destiny Hero Defender and immediately get him into defense mode for my opponent's turn. So that's a big plus for this card. 3 Book of Eclipse, stall and draw helps appropriate. I just don't see why people who are running an appropriate Exodia deck don't run this card. It's beautiful. 2 Gold Sark. I decided that I still need to use them, even though I have the Cat of Omen and everything. I can go either in for a piece of Exodia, or I can go in for appropriate, depending on what my needs are at that exact moment. If I'm going to start with appropriate, I'll go for pieces, obviously. But make sure you don't use it too late. Like when you have 4 pieces and your deck is really thin, I wouldn't Gold Sark for it. I would Gold Sark something else just to thin the deck. 2 Cup of Ace, not 3. Because you're going to run into times where you're hitting Cup of Ace without having appropriate in hand. And you don't want to give your opponent a free chance to get cards when you miss. You need appropriate on the field to use this card. So you don't want to be caught with 3 Cups of Ace and no appropriate. That's why I go 2. 1 Magical Mallet. Again, I'm missing Dark Bribes, so this is still in there temporarily. Although it's a really good card. If you're really handed big, you can discard or send back 10 cards back to your deck and search out to try to get the last 1-2 pieces. Great card. Also helps first hand. Don't be afraid to get rid of Exodia pieces. Throw them back in the deck. You don't want them till late game. Or if you have 3 pieces in hand, it's the only time you don't want to throw pieces back in. Magical Mallet is great for that, especially first turn. I like it better than Reload because it allows you to keep your stall cards. So, Magical Mallet. 3 handies, just obvious. 3 Dark World Dealings. Though you can't chain appropriate to it, you can still use it if appropriate is active. You will get 3 cards and then discard 1 because it's at the time of the action of this. So you can't chain it, but you can still draw up to 3 cards when appropriate is already played. Plus, helps Brow. Brow, drop, becomes a +1. 2 MSTs. Decree really annoys me, especially because it hurts the engine of the deck appropriate. And also, I would probably run 1, but I'm missing bribes, so I'll run 2 of these right now. Obviously, if you can get the bribes, I would take out this card and either Brow, Magical Mallet, or where was it? Brow, Magical Mallet, or the other MST because you're going to be negating it with Dark Brow. So 2 MSTs. 2 Reckless Greed. I was going 3, but then I figured, you know what, let me throw in Dark World Dealings instead of another Reckless Greed. Reckless Greed will take away your draw phases, but the way you draw with this deck, you won't need them as much. So, 2 Reckless Greeds. And then the engine of it all, appropriate. And that's the deck. By the way, I saw a video with a kid who thought that it's for every single card he gets 2. Appropriate works in this way. If your opponent draws outside of their draw phase, for each drawing action, you draw 2 cards. Alright? Not for each card they draw. So, keep that in mind. Anyway, that was my appropriate Exodia deck, or my version of it. Whoa, sorry about the lighting. Anyway, this is the Keeper. Comments, questions, concerns, advice other than Dark Bribes that I already told you I'm going to add, let me know. Side deck hasn't been fully made, but I have ideas. So, peace out, guys.